why was it important to lower the voting age?
Sure. Firstly, people only look at Undi 18 but forget that it came as a package. There's Undi 18, there's Undi Automatic, and there's Calon 18. All three constitutional amendments in together. Let me just briefly mention why it is so important. People often debate this issue from a partisan lens. Oh, these young people support me, they don't support me, they support this coalition or not. I didn't look at that lens at all. What I looked is a systemic issue of disenfranchisement of youth voters in Malaysia, which in the end will lead to youth voices being sidelined. I'm pretty sure you have heard of this issue, or young people, they don't care about politics, they won't turn up to vote.
Or they don't know about politics.
Or they don't know, they are ignorant, etc., etc. You know, that actually translates into real problems in the budget. So if you are a policymaker, and you know, young people, they don't turn up to vote, they're ignorant, they don't care, or we can just buy them all 50 ringgit, 100 ringgit. So in the budget, will you actually take concrete steps to legislate policies which are youth-centered? You won't, because whenever you need to balance things out, it's better for me to just ensure that the retirement age should be increased. It's better for me to ensure that the older generation get a lot more subsidies. Who will need to pay for all of that? The younger generation, my friend. They will be the one who will be impacted the most, right? So in the end, whenever there's a trade-off, in the minds of politicians pre-Undi 18, it will be young people second, older people first. So I realize that's a big problem. With Undi 18 and Undi Automatic, it shifts the power dynamics completely. And not for one elections, but for intergenerations to come. Because from young people only making up 37% of the electorate, today young people make up 55% of the electorate. They are the true and perpetual kingmakers, not just in next election, but for many other elections. And I think that matters because I show one very small example. Pre-Undi 18, I pushed for this job stimulus package together with Minister of Finance then, Sir Guaneng. It's called Malaysia Kerja or Malaysia at Work, 6.5 billion job stimulus package to deal with the issues of underemployment and also chronic unemployment in specific sectors which affect young people. It was a 6.5 billion ringgit package. At first, you know when people try to drag it out by saying, okay, maybe later. It was dragged out many times. After Undi 18 and Undi Automatic was passed, when I say, hey, we need to do this now because this involves the lives of young people who today will determine our future. Not just our future in Malaysia, but whether we win or not. Youth issues.
Now you're youth issues.
Yeah. And you see even UMNO past then doing the same, bringing up youth issues. So when they raise it up, I'm very happy because it's a competition to the top of us trying to win over the voices of young people. And I think that is a kind of a progressive competitive politics which I want. When in the end, whether it's on reforming our education system, our welfare system, it is about ensuring that Malaysia is not super in debt to the point that young people have to carry that 20, 30 years ahead. These are youth issues which previously would be sidelined, which today will be put at center stage after Undi 18 and Undi Automatic.
But just a kickback on that, I as a voter, and of course I've heard this term check and balances, right? You have mentioned it as a third force and all that now, and of course Anwar mentioned it before as well. To me, I feel that the best form of check and balance for any government is an informed voter base.
Correct.
Right? It's not the third force, it's not the opposition, it's an informed voter base. When I saw Undi 18, what my issue was with it was I felt like the criteria should never be age. It should be your mentality. It should be at least, because the only barometer I know of to measure somebody's intelligence or somebody's maturity is by their education, right? If you can name me others, that's fine. We can use that. But education should be the main barometer. So perhaps you are right. In the short term, yes, this is an impact. And fantastic. I love what you're saying. And I think it should be shared more. But in the long term, what happens is it creates a voter base that is so easily influenced. And we see it in the, I think it was G15 or PRN 23, I cannot remember which one now. But where you saw an influx of young voters to PN simply because of their work on TikTok. Right? So shouldn't it be that way where there must be a barrier of entry to become a voter, because then politicians cannot get away with everything that they're doing now because we know. What do you
Fair enough. That's a fair point. So first and foremost, I always believe that we need to give a little bit more credit to young people. You rightfully mentioned that education can be one of the barometers. But my friend, if education was a barometer, I also watched the interview with Prof. Tajuddin where he mentioned his disagreements.
Yes.
Right? But if
What do you have to say to him?
No, I firmly disagree with his logic. But allow me to answer.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
If education was a barometer, that means we should give more young people the right to vote. You know why? Because young people today, about 50% of them have tertiary education above and beyond SPM relative to the older generation, who a lot of them could vote, but don't even have that level of education background like the younger ones today, because access to education today is much better than before. Two, voting doesn't work that way. I mean, if voting is really based on education, does that mean that if you have a PhD, you have 2 or 3 votes, and if you have an SPM, your vote matters less? Or if there's someone who's 80 years old with absolutely no tertiary education compared to someone young with a PhD, that young person can vote and the old person can't.
Yeah, to reply you, that's what I'm suggesting, because I feel that politics. Okay, here's the thing. When I see some of the comments or some of the videos that I've posted recently, it kind of saddens me because I see the trend of thinking is not as progressive which I would hope for this country.
Understood. Okay.
Right. So I think that if you have a degree and that is the only check to point of entry for you, then it makes life very difficult for politicians.
Okay. So on this, I think it's very easy to conveniently blame young people.
No, everybody, even old people.
Yeah.
Whoever.
So let me just give you a simple example to answer. No, this is also
because I have to say this. A lot of my viewers are older, so you're going to make me lose a lot of subscribers now.
Now I'm also going to deal with Prof. Tajuddin's rightful criticism, right, about experience. So if you look at education, I'm just going to put it this way. Civil service today, entry level, you need to have at least CGL or some level of diploma. But yet civil service, in the past 2, state and GE, firmly voted against Pakatan Harapan. Right? So does that mean that their views are very different? Even though they are well educated, they still reject the so-called version of politics.
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
That could be because they are predominantly Malay.
Yeah.
And why would they want to lose affirmative action?
So this is not about age. She's no longer blaming about Undi 18. I'll show you another very interesting fact. People blame Undi 18. Pakatan Harapan in last election got 1 percentage point higher of Undi 18 votes in comparison to PN. You know where PN won the vote most? It's not Undi 18. It's those who are 40 years and below. Between 25 to 40. Undi 18 is only 18 to 20, my friend. It's only 18 to 20. So the fundamental question is, PN tapped into a voter base which no one else cared before. These are voters who never registered to vote before. It's actually less of the Undi 18 but automatic voter registration. Who never bothered to vote before, but now have that kind of voter awakening. Similar to how in 2008, many Chinese and Indians never bothered to vote before. Young ones. And then turned out in masses, which led to BN in many states falling.
Yeah.
So on this matter, I think it's a lot more complex.